Hello.
Hello.
Where are you from?
Israel. Where are you from?
I'm from Palestine.
Yeah, right.
Hello.
Hello. Where are you from?
I'm from Palestine. Where are you from?
You.
Play something for me.
Wait. Where are you from?
Palestine.
I hate the Palestinians. I hate the Palestinians.
Hi.
Palestine.
Hi, nice to meet you. I don't even know you. Why are you being like that? You think it's funny that Israel's bombing innocent lives in Gaza?
We your babies, yeah.
You think it's funny?
Yeah, it's very funny.
Are you even human?
I'm human, you see. I'm not robot. These babies and
What's up, man? Where are you from?
Israel.
Did you serve in the IDF?
Yes, and I'm proud of it.
How many Palestinians have you killed?
I don't know, 20, 50. I don't count. We are gonna disappear Gaza Strip. This is gonna be crazy. You have to see that, okay? Enjoy with us.
Have you ever killed a Palestinian child?
No. One child? No. Oh my, 5. One child. I'm looking like a noob to you. You think I will kill one child? I can kill 5, 10.
My name is Atalia Benaba. I'm a conscientious objector. I refuse to serve in the Israeli military because I refuse to take part in the occupation of the Palestinian people. I spent 4 months in military prison because of that. I want people of the world to know the genocidal language that is being used by Israel's extremist government.
תשמיד את עזה עכשיו! עזה הופכת לדרזדן, כן!
It's an entire nation out there that is responsible. It's not true. This rhetoric about civilians not aware, not involved, it's absolutely not true.
אנחנו מטילים מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק. הכל סגור. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם ואנחנו נוהגים בהתאם.
מחר בבוקר, הציפייה שלך שהיינו מטילים מה שנקרא איזושהי פצצת אטום על כל עזה, משטחים אותה, מחסלים את כל מי שנמצא בה. זה דרך אחת.
תודעה של נכבה, או שזה משהו זמני.
יהיה להם לאן לחזור?
אנחנו עכשיו מגלגלים בעצם את נכבת עזה, אם תרצה, נכבת עזה. זו נכבת עזה, אבי דיכטר. נכבת עזה 2023. זכור את אשר עשה לך עמלק, נצטווינו. אנו זוכרים ואנו נלחמים.
Netanyahu is using the word Amalek because he's referring to the biblical enemies of the Israeli people that were described in the Bible. This is what the Bible says about Amalek. Do not spare them, but put them to death, men, women, children, and infants. It is the only nation in the Bible that God orders the Jews to kill completely, so nothing is remembered of them. Please, people around the world who care about this issue, share the words of these leaders who are being a danger for Palestinians and Israeli hostages alike. We need to stop them. We need to stop this war.
An investigation was published by 972 magazine entitled A Mass Assassination Factory. And that investigation relied on the testimonies of current and former Israeli intelligence officials who were quoted as confirming that Israel intentionally targets Palestinian family homes and apartment buildings in its airstrikes, and that this is not an accident. Our families are not collateral damage, rather they are the targets of Israel's attack on purpose. Israel refers to those targets as power targets. And this is an intentional policy that is designed to create as much carnage as possible, to create as much despair and devastation as possible. In the words of the Israeli intelligence officers describing this practice, it's intended to put pressure on Hamas by putting pressure on the entire civilian population.
We're looking for babies, but there is no babies left. Maybe I killed a girl, she was 12, but I'm looking for a baby.
You Palestinian?
5 Palestine. Hi. 5 Palestine, baby. Yeah, very good.
You 5 Palestinian babies?
Yeah. You love Palestine, I'll kill you.
You guys kill Palestinian kids?
Yeah. Just 2 this morning. Just 2. Yesterday was a good day.
So how much kids did you kill today?
Every single kid, yes.
You are proud?
Every single kid I saw, I shot at.
والله شكلك عربي. شكلك عربي. You seem Arab.
لا أنا كنت بالمخابرات الصغيرة. أنا بحكي عربي أحسن منك.
تحكي عربي؟
أحسن منك.
كنت بالمخابرات؟
نعم.
حبيبي. But the army bomb every place in Gaza. How can you be sure that there is no hostages in that house? Or so if Hamas are there?
Because Hamas are in the tunnels. They are underground. They aren't in the upground. It's proven in Israel that they are underground. They are not underground. We know it, like 100%.
Later.
You say that Hamas are under the ground, right?
Yes.
Why you are bombing school and houses and?
Because we want the civilians in Gaza to
go to Sina, all right?
No, we want them to stay in Gaza. We want the civilians to finish Hamas. We don't want to hit the civilians. We do that for the civilians to be against Hamas.
This practice meets the definition of terrorism. Terrorism is specifically unlawful targeting of civilians using violence for a political purpose. But of course, this is never dealt with in the mainstream media. It's also never dealt with by the government officials who are arming and financing this genocide. Evidence, videos, photos, testimonies coming out from on the ground by Palestinians who are living this genocide. Part of Israel's dystopian reality is the way that it uses technology to oppress Palestinians and to carry out this genocide. So we've seen Israel use drones to send threatening messages to Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. We've seen them use other types of drones that have a very disruptive and disturbing buzzing sound, and those drones fly over Gaza at all times to make Palestinians think that an airstrike is impending, but in reality it's just the sound of the drone, which is entire purpose is to fill the sky with buzzing sounds and to create fear in the Palestinian society. We've also seen Israel employ tactics whereby it drops leaflets telling Palestinians that they must evacuate, but evacuate to where, it's unclear, because we know that everywhere Israel has told Palestinians to evacuate has also been bombed and not spared from the brutality of Israeli airstrikes. We've seen Israel rely on QR technology, telling Palestinians that their neighborhoods have now been divided into numbered quarters and that it will announce which numbers are going to be airstriked and that Palestinians should evacuate from one numbered area to another numbered area. But it does so at a time when they're also cutting communications so that Palestinians can't even access this very twisted technology. But even if they do, again, they're not spared and they are targeted. So it's really just to create this impression that Israel's providing a safe outlet for Palestinians. But the reality is that nowhere is safe, and that everywhere that Israel has told Palestinians to go during this genocide has not been spared and has been subject to airstrike. The weapons that are being used in Gaza are the most advanced weapons in existence. And in many cases, they're being tested on Gaza's civilian population, being used for the very first time. And we know also that once those weapons have been tested on Gazan civilians, they then can be sold to governments around the world with the label battle tested. And that also increases their value. All of this is, of course, dystopian. There's no other word for it. Especially when you remember that 1 million children live in Gaza, that they are half of the population, and that while they are being bombarded with the most advanced weapons known to man, they are also being starved and dehydrated and succumbing to disease all at the same time. I don't think there's any way for us to really understand the totality of the scope of the human suffering in Gaza right now. Every form of human suffering that could possibly exist exists right now in Gaza. All of it. Starvation, dehydration, the sounds of the bombs, the sounds of the drones, uninterrupted for over 2 months. You've never had a day of quiet. The smells, everything smells like death. Everything smells like burning, toxic gas. There's no fresh air, there's no clean air. Everything smells like rotting flesh and blood. The sights, everywhere you go, there's destruction. Everywhere you go, concrete and iron and blood and destroyed buildings and destroyed homes and destroyed businesses. The way that people must live in their bodies in this moment. Pure anxiety, depression, shock, PTSD.
The tiny minority of Jewish Israelis who dare disagree with their government's openly apartheidist policies towards Palestinians have found that they too live under a two-tiered system of justice. Now, only the Israeli Jews who support the efforts of Israel's military to erase and occupy Gaza enjoy the full privileges granted to them under their country's supposed democracy. Simple non-violent displays of solidarity with Palestinians, or posts or reposts on social media criticizing Israel's military operation can lead to long-lasting military detentions, beatings, or harsh social consequences. While I was in Israel, on November 9th, Israeli police arrested, detained, and raided the house of Israeli Jew and high school teacher, Meir Barukin. The police also kept him in solitary confinement for the wrong think of showing simple compassion for Palestinians in Gaza. Joseph Zernick is an Israeli court observer and human rights activist. He's been researching and reporting on the legal predicament of Barukin. I caught up with him in a village in the West Bank's Jordan Valley.
He was detained for Facebook posts which the police alleged in his detention hearing were incitement for violence, and also they claimed that it was suspected of violating Article 100 of the Israeli Penal Code. Article 100 talks about a person who reveals a decision to betray. The violations are punishable by life imprisonment or the death penalty. Other side of the sidewalk of the street, on the other sidewalk, I think about 50, 60, 70-year-old men standing. So I walked across the street, walked to them, and they said to me, "So you tried to get into court and they didn't let you?" I said, "Yes." So I thought maybe I'll stay and I will be able to hear from the attorney what transpired and report it. I often even report from inside the hearings on Twitter. And then several police cars appeared and a police force of about 20 or 30 people, and they announced on the loudspeaker of one of the police cars something. I couldn't even understand it because the quality of the sound was very poor, but I understood that they wanted us to disappear, so we started moving away. And then these 20-30 police started beating us up for no reason at all.
Danny Daniela is one of the older Israeli Jews who was at the courthouse standing in solidarity with Barukin. I interviewed him outside the Knesset building, where families of the October 7th hostages were protesting the government's war efforts in Gaza. They felt left out in the cold by a government that promised them months ago that getting the hostages back was a priority.
To say it in one sentence, they came in order to beat us. I didn't see such cruelty, such violence from the side of Jerusalem police in terms of, chasing, eating, not hesitating to beat adults, I would say even old ladies, and people were cursed. I mean, the policemen didn't hesitate to curse people in sentences like go to Gaza, go to East Jerusalem, go to Sheikh Jarrah, we don't want you, you are lousy leftists. This kind of stuff, they didn't hesitate as people of the law to curse citizens, and we did nothing. For me, it was a fascist event, really. Coming and doing these horrible things to the people who respect the law, who did nothing.
Ofer Leibowitz is an Israeli Jew and was attacked at Barukin's detention hearing by the fanatic Special Forces police officers.
And I didn't even have time to think. Simply, one policeman came over and grabbed my sign, and I tried to take it away. Then came this other policeman, actually the first one that told me to go away, and he pushed me badly, and I fell like 3 meters from there on the ground, and I had no sign, I had nothing. And I managed to sit up, and he came back with his bat and hit me twice. Then my ribs still hurt. I don't think I have a broken rib, but still, when I'm lying down, getting up, it's painful. And
it didn't matter to the police that some of the older Israeli Jews they were beating and humiliating were military veterans themselves and fathers and grandfathers to current Israeli military soldiers.
I was attacked in Jerusalem, and my son Nadav serves in the army very near the northern border. I mean, to treat me as a Yom Kippur War veteran and the First Lebanese War veteran, as a traitor, as a person whom you have to attack, whom you have to curse or mock, is impossible. By shouting or saying different things that are not, in the national consensus, you reveal yourself as a traitor.
Mayor Barukin was eventually released from military detention, but still faces charges from the State of Israel. On the other side of Jerusalem is occupied East Jerusalem. The Palestinian neighborhood of Sheikh Jarrah hasn't known life without occupation since 1967. Ahmed Mouna is a Palestinian who owns a bookshop in East Jerusalem with his family. The crackdown on freedom of expression happening since October 7th to Jews in Israel has been happening to Palestinians like Ahmed and his family since the State of Israel was created.
The state has got to a point now where it basically does not want anybody to criticize it. You can't criticize the state of Israel. You're Jewish, you're not Jewish, you're Palestinian, you're not Palestinian. It doesn't matter. It really got to that stage where we really don't care. And it says a lot about this country. It says a lot about what this country brags about, that it is a democracy. A democratic state will not arrest its own citizens for criticizing it. One of the main pillars of being a democratic state is having freedom of speech, is having a space for people to criticize and change. This is what democracy is all about, But yeah, basically the state of Israel is not interested in this. I would call what I would think they would call nonsense. And who doesn't support that we can have an authority over, we're going to put in jail. This is how the country is operating now.
I don't think there's any way for us to really understand the totality of the scope of the human suffering in Gaza right now.
It's just something they ought to do, in my view.
No, and of course they should do it. Every human being would say you don't cut people's water supply off. But I'm asking you, in your position as Foreign Secretary, around the point of international humanitarian law, if Israel have the power to turn the water back on that they turned off, surely that is a flagrant breach of international humanitarian law.
Well, I'm not a lawyer. My view is they ought to switch it on because the north of Gaza, the conflict is now effectively over there, and so getting more water and power into northern Gaza would be a very good thing to do. You don't have to be a lawyer to make a judgment about that, you just have to be a human being.
Children in Gaza are hungry, and the fear is that they're about to get hungrier. Donors to UNRWA, the main UN agency that supports Palestinians, including the UK, withdrew their funding 10 days ago because of allegations in a confidential Israeli document that this programme has now seen. The document repeats an allegation the Israel Defense Force has made many times, that the Hamas terrorist organisation has been methodically and deliberately emplacing its terrorist infrastructure in a wide range of UN facilities and assets, but provides no evidence to support its explosive new claim that UNRWA staff were involved in the terror attacks on Israel, just stating, from intelligence information, documents and identity cards seized during the course of the fighting, it is now possible to flag around 190 Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorist operatives who serve as UNRWA employees. More than 10 UNRWA staffers took part in the events of the 7th of October.
So there you go. No evidence for the explosive claim. That's what those journalists at Channel 4 News have concluded. Hold on, what about that Wall Street Journal splash which said otherwise?
3 days after the UNRWA story broke, the New York-based paper put out a piece, again based on Israeli intelligence, saying that 1 in 10 UNRWA workers had quote-unquote links to Hamas. The report did not specify just what those links were. Carrie Keller-Lynn co-authored that story. It turns out she's an American who volunteered for the Israeli military and is seen here linked to one of the Army's spokespersons. After her piece was published, the list of countries pulling their money out of UNRWA grew. We asked the journal about its story and its co-author. It declined to comment.
That's an Al Jazeera splash there, co-authored by someone who volunteered the Wall Street Journal piece for the Israeli military. What do you even say at this point? More to the point, the New York Times splashed on this supposed scandal. On the 28th of January, the headline was "Details emerge on UN workers accused of aiding Hamas raid." They've got serious questions, I would say, journalistically to answer. This all gets worse and worse and worse. By the way, just first of all, it's worth noting that UNRWA actually send each year a list of their employees to Israel for vetting and have received no objections. What does that say about Israel then and their intelligence services if they have vetted the employees and found no problems?
אנחנו מטילים מצור מוחלט על העיר עזה. אין חשמל, אין מזון, אין מים, אין דלק. הכל סגור. אנחנו נלחמים בחיות אדם ואנחנו נוהגים בהתאם.
Now, the Financial Times have a detailed interview with Philippe Lazzarini, the Commissioner General of UNRWA, who Israel is trying to get fired, along with his colleagues. The interview makes clear that UNRWA won't be able to pay the salaries of 30,000 members of its staff, from healthcare workers to teachers, across all those territories are listed where it works. He adds, Israel has not presented evidence of the allegations to UNRWA, adding that the UN agency had been forced to respond to leaks in the media of an Israeli intelligence assessment that at least 12 of its Palestinian employees had taken part in the Hamas raid. Well, that is extraordinary, and I'm afraid to say it does actually leave UNRWA themselves with some pretty unpleasant questions to answer. When these supposed revelations emerged, UNRWA fired 9 members of staff. Why? I mean, they fired them without seeing any evidence, as they themselves say. Where are the principles of natural justice there? As a bare minimum, you suspend pending investigation. Now, the Financial Times, which like Channel 4 News has seen the dossier, say it provides no evidence for the claims, which it says are based on smartphone intercepts and captured identity cards. What is this? Claims, no evidence, and yet we can see the consequences.